Today I'm starting on part 3, and I hope so far you have enjoyed the discussion so far. Women have been made from time to accept their dependency on men. In the 18th century, women married to aristocrats wore shoes that had narrow sole with high heels, and as a result, they could not easily and comfortably stand without holding the arms of someone. That someone always was a man. Hence, for them to walk and stand normally at a party, they had to be totally dependent on the men. Who made those shoes? The men did. The men made them. At such parties, the women smiled mildly at jokes that only men can tell. All the women did was smile elegantly and fan themselves, while the men had a hearty laughter. When it came to time when serious business would be discussed, the men excused themselves. The women were either escorted to the garden or in the living room, where one of them or one of the daughters of the hostess entertained them with organ playing. The women were not allowed to partake in serious discussions because the understanding at that time was that they had nothing tangible to contribute. Sons of the well-to-do families of that time would go to school, while the girls were taught how to be ladylike. In other words, totally submissive to the cultural expectations for them, and some were taught how to play musical instruments, usually the organ. In developing countries where water had to be fetched from rivers, it was the chore for girls. These girls could walk for miles to get this water. They carry it on their heads, and the boys used this water freely because they did not go through the rigor of fetching it. The boys were allowed to play sports while the girls were just to cheer them on. As at that time, ladies were not permitted to take part in contact games. The girls were taught how to take care of children, how to dress, sew, how to sit and eat properly. In other words, they were expected to be more of a robot. Any deviation from such perfectly laid out outline was considered rebellious and must be put to check immediately. All these ideas were planted in the minds of the boys, and the girls were supposed to know their limits, while the boys felt that they had no limits. Mothers made it compulsory for their daughters to be in the kitchen when cooking, and they sent the boys out of the kitchen telling them that the kitchen was not a place for the meal. Toy makers designed trucks, guns, and electrical toys with the male child in mind, while dolls and kitchen center were made for the girls. On the screen, the toys for the boys and the girls are compared. Even at age 1, the girls' toys are steering the girls towards domestic duties. As the children grow older, the discrepancies become more obvious. This can be seen even as the children go and comparing age 5 for the boys and for the girls. As the children grow older, the discrepancies become more obvious. The idea is that the girls use the dolls to practice taking care of babies, and the pots and pans set for practicing cooking. If parents want to do the opposite, the society will look at them as being odd. Parents should expose both sexes to the 2 sets of toys because it helps in changing the perspective of the boy about his responsibilities in the house. Many children are missing out on father figure at home because some men feel that once they have left housekeep money, their responsibilities in the house have ended. They have little or no interaction with their children. They feel providing money for the family is all that they need to do. If for any reason the child is left in their charge, they cannot do a thing as regards to taking care of those children. For feeding, they give the children fast food, and in a few days the house is like a disaster zone. There was a young man who went to the university but could not do any cooking. He had to buy already cooked meal every time. Such a student will not be able to feed well with whatever that is available. Moreover, the parents will have to give him more money for food if they can afford it. There is a joke that he could not even boil water, or rather, he does not know when the water has boiled. Hence, he could burn the pot while boiling water because he doesn't know when to turn the stove off. His mother had to bring him food on weekends, and he ate the food cold because he didn't know how to warm it. Needless to say that most of his food got spoiled, or he ended up rushing through it so as to avoid spoilage, and he then relied on fast food, which did not satisfy him as he had limited resources. Parents have to expose both boys and girls to all these things for their own good, and mothers must see that they are training their sons to be useful around the house. This is where I'm going to end part 3. I will see you again next week, Tuesday. Meanwhile, deliberate on these issues and let me have a feedback. Thank you.